On a quiet spring night in Minnesota, a 19-year-old college student named Brandon Swanson drove down a gravel road and vanished. His last known moments were recorded through a series of confused late-night calls to his parents as he tried to find his way home. But what happened in the minutes after those calls has remained one of the eeriest missing person cases of the Midwest. It's midnight somewhere, and tonight I have a story for you. It was May 14th, 2008, a quiet Wednesday night in Marshall, Minnesota. Brandon Swanson was 19 years old, a college student on summer break, driving home after a small get-together with his classmates. It was late, it was dark, the countryside was nothing but fields and dirt roads, and the occasional farm light off in the distance. Somewhere along that drive, Brandon's car went into a ditch. He wasn't hurt, the car wasn't badly damaged, he just couldn't move it. At 12:30 a.m, Brandon phoned his parents, Brian and Annette, and he told them that he'd actually driven off the road into a ditch and needed a ride home. He described his location as just outside Lind, Minnesota, a small town a few miles away. He stayed on the phone while his parents got in their truck and drove towards him. But when they reached the spot that Brandon had described, Brandon wasn't there. There was no car, there was no lights, and there was no sign of him at all. So Brandon's parents called him and said that they were at the location that he gave them, but he obviously wasn't there. So Brandon stayed calm. He figured he must have just been confused as to where he was, or maybe his folks had gone to the wrong location. It was no real big deal at all. He told them that he could see lights off in the distance of a town, and he told them that he would walk towards those lights and then they could then meet him there. So his parents thought that was okay, and they stayed on the line while he walked towards the lights. Now, every few minutes he described where he was: a gravel road, fences, occasionally passing a farm, and his parents drove up and down the roads with their headlights flashing, but they never saw him. Neither side could spot the other. And this is where things get really strange. They kept on missing each other with what seemed to be like by seconds or meters. It was like they were in two different versions of the same place. Brandon would describe where he was, and his parents would be there seconds after he described where he was at that spot. Now, at 1:57 a.m, Brandon was still walking, still on the phone. Brandon suddenly said, "Oh shit." And there was a scuffling sound on the other end of the phone, a stumble, and then complete silence. The line stayed open, but Brandon never ever came back on the call. His father kept shouting his name, and there was nothing. The phone eventually went flat. Now, police traced the call and discovered something very, very shocking. Brandon wasn't near Lind at all. He was 25 miles away near the town of Taunton. The terrain there is farm, country, creeks, barbed wire fences, and tall grass, and deep, uneven ravines. Investigators found his car exactly where the phone ping said, but they never found his gloves, his hat, his phone, his clothes, or any sign of any sort of struggle. Hundreds and hundreds of volunteers, dogs, helicopters, and divers searched the fields. They searched field after field for months, and nothing. Not a shoe, not a thread, not even a footprint. That night, Brandon simply vanished during a phone call with his parents. Now, there's a lot of different theories as to what actually happened to Brandon that night. One was that he fell into an unmarked well or cistern. The area is full of old, unmapped farm structures, some of them still open. The second is that he slipped into the Yellow Medicine River, but extensive searches found no trace of Brandon. Foul play was another theory that came to surface, but it was very unlikely. There were no witnesses, there was no evidence, and the call never indicated that there was another person nearby. Another theory was that Brandon actually had a medical event, which was possible but doesn't explain the complete disappearance of his body or clothing. So to this day, there's no clear answer as to what happened to Brandon. Only a call, a final word, and then silence. If you like dark stories told at midnight, subscribe. I release 3 new mysteries every single week. And until then, I'll see you at midnight.